I'm Jilly G. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you my cornbread recipe, and it's gluten-free. You can serve this as a side dish or to go with something, you know, like a soup or a chili or something. But it's really good as just a side dish by itself. It's also really good with some fried eggs next to it. Some of you commented about my corn cutting skills last time and gave some pretty good tips. You know, cutting it into a bowl. So I just have another little cup here that I'm gonna put that on top of and then just cut my corn off. So far, so good. Don't break your bowl with your knife. And I have my cutting board here, just in case, but it looks like we won't need it. And I have about 6 ears of corn here. Some of them are kind of small. You want to cut off enough corn to equal 4 cups, and this is a 4-cup measuring cup. And if you don't have fresh corn, you can use either canned corn or frozen corn. Works really well. And my oven just preheated to 350. So let's see how much corn we got. Some of my ears were kind of small and had a couple of bad spots, so I might need to use some frozen corn anyways. But let's see what we've got. 2 cups, which is what we need for the bigger part. We need a total of 4 cups, but 2 cups will go to all of this. But the other 2 cups that I'm going to use frozen for, which works out fine because we're going to cook it anyways. Let me get 2 cups of frozen corn. There, 2 cups of frozen corn, 2 cups of fresh corn. Just leave all this here. And I'm going to bring this over here. And I've got my other ingredients ready. What we're going to do first is, this is kind of a 2-part recipe where you have all of your other things. Dry mixture, butter, other things. This cornbread uses creamed corn. The original recipe uses, I think, a 15-ounce can or whatever size of creamed corn. I've never even looked for gluten-free creamed corn because I just assumed it was something that wouldn't be made gluten-free. So I make my own. If you can find a canned version that is gluten-free, use that and then you could skip this step. So I'll bring you in closer and show you the creamed corn first. And that's on about medium heat. So in a small saucepan or a medium-sized saucepan, you want to add in 1 tablespoon of butter. Once your butter is all melted, add in 1 tablespoon of gluten-free flour and mix and stir that till it's kind of cooked just a little bit. And once it's all mixed together and cooked, I have 1 cup of half and half milk, half heavy cream. And slowly pour that in. And you could use a whisk, but this is fine. I have about a half a teaspoon of salt and about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So cook and stir this until it's thickened. Add in your frozen corn. And stir it till it's combined. And you'll notice how thick this got as soon as I added in the frozen corn. And this is exactly what you want. So turn off your heat and just bring it over here. And you saw how nice and thick it is. So just let that cool off for a few minutes while we get our other ingredients mixed together. Now I have 2 spatulas. So first thing is this butter that we're gonna set aside. First thing is the dry ingredients. And I just have a little whisk. So just in a small bowl, I have 2/3 cup of my gluten-free flour, a half a cup of cornmeal, and 1 tablespoon of baking powder and a half a teaspoon of salt. All in here, and just mix it together. It really doesn't take much. I also have just under a 1/4 cup of honey. If you're using white sugar, you would add your white sugar in with this mixture, but because I'm using honey, I'm gonna add my honey in with the butter. So set that aside, and I'm gonna soften my butter just a little bit. You can stir your creamed corn while you're waiting. And once your butter is nice and soft enough to mash up with your spatula, add your just shy of a 1/4 cup of honey, and just mix this around. I have 2 eggs. I have 2 eggs we're gonna add into our butter and honey mixture. First egg. And second egg. And just mix this till it's really combined. And I'm going to switch back to my spatula now, but get everything off of here. And now I'm going to add in our dry ingredients. And just mix this together. It's okay if it isn't even all the way mixed together. We have a lot of other mixing to do. And it's okay if there's a little bit of dry bits of flour and cornmeal, because we have the rest of our corn. I have about 2 cups of Parmesan cheese. Oh, it's probably about 1 cup of bacon that I've already cooked and cut up. About a half a package, 1 pound, give or take. 1 cup of sour cream, and I have 1 really big jalapeno. And it's kind of a red and greenish one. And I don't know how spicy it will be. If you don't want to add a jalapeno to this, you could add a small can of green chilies, or even canned jalapenos, or none at all. You don't have to add this in at all. But let's go that next. And our corn. And I'm gonna add in our bacon next. And our Parmesan cheese. And just mix this all together. And you can use your other spatula to clean off this spatula. And you'll notice it's not all the way mixed in yet, but we still have more mixing to do. Add in your 1 cup of sour cream. Making sure to get the sides and the bottom. And once you're happy with that, bring over your pan, just so it's ready. It's a greased 8x8 pan. You could even do a 9x9 or some kind of casserole dish. And then bring over your creamed corn. And it's okay if it's still a little bit warm. You don't want it hot, but it's okay if it's warm. And just start pouring this in. And then stir this all together. Just making sure everything is all mixed in. And now we're ready to put it into our casserole pan. And just spread it out. Okay, this is ready to go in the oven. Again at 350 for about an hour. And it's ready when you put a toothpick in and it comes out clean. So my cornbread went for about an hour. You can see how nice and golden brown it is. And I ended up putting it on a cookie sheet. I don't know if you can see, but it's really smoky in here. It started to bubble over in my oven. Just a little bit right here. And then the bits that dropped on my oven made it really smoky. So I'm gonna let this cool off and just rest for a few minutes before we cut into it. On the first day that you make it, it won't actually hold a slice until after, cooling off all the way and being in the fridge overnight. And then the next day you can get a slice out of it. But today it's kind of more like a corn pudding really. But let this cool off and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So my cornbread is still pretty hot. But it's cooled off and it's settled down enough that we can get a little piece out of it. So let's just get a spoonful here. Get all those little bits out of there. I don't know if you can see that steam coming off. And the edges are a little bit dark, but that's how I like it. You could put sour cream on this if your jalapenos are really spicy. And as I mentioned, it will hold a slice tomorrow. Not today, but tomorrow. Let's give this a bite. It's really hot. It's really good. And like I said, it goes really well with so many different things, as a side dish, or as I mentioned, just a couple of fried eggs on top of this is really good. And you don't have to use fresh corn. If all you have is frozen, it works just fine. And you don't even have to put bacon in here. Although you could put ham. Ham would be really good. But you could make this vegetarian without the bacon. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.